Please, for our last panel of the day, we have three fabulous speakers, and the first one is Terry Beaubois. He's an architect, researcher, and educator. He practiced architecture right here in the Silicon Valley from 1976 all the way to 2006, and it was involved with NASA, Adobe, Apple, Motorola, Microsoft, and many other tech companies. From 2006 to 2013, he was the founding director of the Creative Research Lab at Montana State University. His architectural practices created high-tech offices and facilities, hospitals, resort hotels, and single-family homes. Terry's work has featured an eco-smart approach to planning, design, and construction. Terry is currently dedicated to projects that will maintain and improve the quality of life in the greater San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. So if you live in the area or beyond, you're going to want to know everything that Terry Beaubois has to say. So let's give him a big hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to turn that on?
And
you turned it off?
I'm going to go ahead and introduce the other two speakers before you speak,
Sure.
so that you can all flow together as a wonderful panel. We have Jeff Ball here. He's the CEO of Smart Groups based here in Palo Alto. He has been a task-oriented facilitator for over 40 years at many California-based work groups. So let's give Jeff Ball a big hand as well. And again, you know me, we've got to have at least one woman on the panel. So she's no stranger. As you know, she's one of the co-conveners of our event. You met her yesterday. Kennen Salinaro is the founder of Humana Science and Technology. She received her PhD in biochemistry from UC San Diego doing structure and function analysis of membrane proteins. She's also held positions in numerous institutions within the basic sciences. I like the basic sciences. Remember I told you I didn't like chemistry or biology. She was a faculty member at Georgetown University in the Department of Chemistry, Celera Genomics, doing the Human Genome Project, and at UC Berkeley with the Joint Genome Institute. Her current work is to help science transition the very fabric of how we do science in the United States, and her second job is to be a timer to make sure that we're all on time. And she's been doing a great job since my dad left. It's been wonderful. Her model for change most closely follows that of Sir Roland Jackson, who was the previous president of the Royal Society in the United Kingdom and the current director of ScienceWise in the UK. She currently serves on the board of Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership Group, TEDx Livermore, Advisory Board for Avatar Research Institute, and the Open Science Alliance, and is a founding board member for California Health Corps. She's a judge, and she went to Finland and furthering basic research in microbiology. Let's just give her a hand. Okay. Take it away. There's our panel. Thank you.
And we need tech help up here because I put it on standby, so I'm not sure how to get the menu. I think it's to input, yeah.
And Mr. Beaubois, are you going first? Would you like
Yes.
the microphone?
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, Terry.
No problem. Thank you. One of the things I'm going to do is just sort of, yes.
You already have a mic.
Is he already mic'd?
One is for that, and
Here, I'll hold it then. They've got you mic'd.
Okay.
I didn't see it.
are we okay then?
He's mic'd.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bill, for pointing out I have more mics than I need. And a Kennen and a Jeff. So we're going to sort of do this interactively. But today has been incredible because I have never been at a conference or in a group where I felt like it reached this level, this height, before I had a fabulous opportunity to speak. And so I'm not going to back up, and I want to try to capture some of the momentum that's already developed in this meeting. And it doesn't seem like anyone needs a remedial introduction to anything, but just as to sort of or begin to orient ourselves toward these filling out of the aspirations template that you're going to be doing tomorrow and a little bit today. I'm going to say that my aspiration, and part of the aspiration of the group, is we want to create a continuation of the Silicon Valley Franchise for Humanity hub. And by that, we all know that there are going to be other regions, many of you from outside the Silicon Valley, so we want to be able to create some sort of connection that's ongoing. So that's what we're looking at today and talking about. And in a way of doing that, I want to talk about the momentum that brought me here. Is I was in, as was mentioned, I practiced architecture in Silicon Valley for 30 years. And then I got asked up to Montana State University to start a creative research lab. And they said, you can do anything you want to. So what I wanted to do was, it was in the College of Arts and Architecture, which were filmmakers, artists, musicians, and architects, most of which had never worked with each other. I talked to an architect that had been teaching in this college for 18 years, and we were sitting in a room, and we looked out the window, and there was a sidewalk, and there was another building. I said, have you ever been in that building? And they said, no. It's the art school. It's part of the college. 18 years. Silos can happen in government, it can happen in business, it can happen in education, and that's what we're dealing with now. We have a lot of specialties, we have a lot of silos. Certainly not exclusively that. There is collaboration going on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. In creating a place where people could collaborate, there's a book out called Gracious Space. And the whole concept is we want to create a space, both physically and mentally, for people to feel safe, to bring up ideas, to talk about things. If you go to a city council meeting, that is not a gracious space, okay? So we're looking at, like this room today has been one. It's been very good. Mei Lin, who was wonderful enough to include me in this whole thing, talked about how do we create a space where people feel comfortable talking to each other. And I think you should all take credit for the fact that you brought something here today and you shared it with other people. I didn't see anyone being reluctant to share what they were bringing. So I think the goal of creating a gracious space is important in continuing this work, both architecturally, as something I work on as an architect, and as a group and as other groups. It also brings in the concept of real space, like the room that we're in. Now, many of you may not know this, excuse me. One of the teachers had to leave their class because we were making so much noise. There wasn't enough acoustical protection between this room and the next room. And I have been in rooms all over the world where you know that the architect was in the first meeting, but the acoustic engineer was not. And because you can't see sound, it's not thought of. And someone made a comment earlier today. James was talking about it's often devalued because they can't see it. And you can build something that doesn't work, and it isn't until later, and then everybody is somewhat busy and can't respond to it necessarily. The other thing is collaboration. This is the last group on earth I have to lecture on collaboration, but I do want to tell you something because it was really funny. In 2005, I went up to Montana State University. I started a class called Digital Collaboration for Artists, Architects, Filmmakers, and Artists. And I got a note from the administration saying, you cannot use the word collaboration in your class name. And I went, oh, why? And they said, well, 2 students were caught collaborating last year, and we expelled them. And so you're not supposed to encourage that. And so we've gotten to the point where PC-wise, they were afraid to say they were cheating, which is what they were doing. They weren't collaborating. On the other hand, if you look at the Webster's Dictionary, there are 2 definitions. One is the one I use, which is people working together to achieve a common goal. And the number 2 definition is Benedict Arnold collaborated with the enemy, or as my British